Rennsport out of closed beta, a different sim surpassing expectations, and much more right here, right now. Greetings Romy, you're watching Rom, the channel sharing the joy of sim racing and our regular news roundup, our weekly sim racing news. Thanks to all those who come here often, especially those who subscribe, and even more, our patrons. My name is Serta and I will be your host for this video. In about 2 hours time, the last race of the Evolution Racing Academy will take place with battles for the lead in the tiers all around. Let's see who is able to make it this season. We're sure we'll have a lot to talk about in our commentators booth. Rennsport has some very interesting news this week, even if they waited until Saturday to publish any information. We have an interesting surprise in our sim racing statistics, and we will have a very interesting guest in our podcast on Thursday, as it will be no other than Marcel Offermans, rFactor 2's former managing director, now working on his passion project, a new sim called The Last Garage, which we were fortunate enough to test at the Sim Formula Europe in January. See the link up there for a video about it. The podcast will come out Thursday, our news start now. Well, Assetto Corsa does it again. The soon-to-be granddaddy of a game with AC Evo coming out, see the link up there for last week's news, has reached its most average daily users ever, with almost 11,000 users daily last month. Unluckily, this is not the fate reserved for Assetto Corsa Competizione, which drops down almost 1,000 daily average users from its all-time high in April, but still very good numbers compared to where it was in the past. Very good numbers also for, shock and surprise, Le Mans Ultimate, which does not reach the almost 1,500 of its first month, by far not, but almost doubles the average daily users of last month. Comeback or outlier? We'll know more next month. All other numbers are looking good, but not excellent, with a stable over 30,000 daily average users for racing sims. A year ago we had 23,000, 2 years ago 19,000. Our wonderful hobby is for sure on the rise. Let's start with Automobilista 2. While we expect Reza to give us a development update next week, they have made it clear the 1.6 version we are all expecting won't arrive until end of July, the soonest, and Reza being Reza, we don't expect it until sometime in August. The Crew Motorfest is free to play until the end of tomorrow, which makes sense as normally nobody wants to play it. Even more so after they completely delisted the Crew. By the way, the European Union is taking a closer look at that and may or may not react accordingly. At least they are investigating it. Star Trucker is an interesting game for sure. You drive? No. Wait, fly your truck through space and do what truckers tend to do. Haul stuff around, upgrade their trucks and hyperjump to the next solar system. It will come out on the 3rd of September and we will for sure be testing it. Not on Rom, but on our sister channel, Space Crazy. Only real with the monkey. If you already want to check what is going on there and hear a very familiar voice in a completely different context, the link is up there and in the description of the video. At the moment we're going bonkers with indie game Planet Crafter, but we have other content as well all around sci-fi games. You're very welcome to say hi and maybe even subscribe, you know, for the algorithm and the fun of sci-fi. And drop us a line if you want to co-op Planet Crafter, Helldivers 2 or Elite Dangerous. Race at Home published a video with the challenge of driving Nordschleife while answering questions from viewers. Bob as always answered candidly and at the same time showed his fantastic 6DOF construct in action. A beautiful piece of engineering we were lucky enough to test at last year's Sim Racing Expo. See the link up there. And as we said in the intro, don't forget we'll publish our podcast on Thursday, this time with a very special guest, Marcel Offermans of rFactor 2 fame and now working on The Last Garage, with whom we had a blast with an excellent and prolonged chat yesterday and who set up our question of the month for you. That after talking with us about his sim, how you develop a sim from scratch, and of course going on tangents as we always do in our podcast. Look at that! iRacing dropped a patch, and within the patch they dropped a new track. Well, at least a new track configuration. The Oswego Speedway in its dirt track configuration. Last time we discussed iRacing, we told you they were working with Nvidia to get hold of crashes that happened using their GPUs, and they now inform us this issue has been solved. There's also been improvements on the behavior of AI drivers, the behavior of rain droplets on your windshield, and the behavior of replays with regards to rain. There's also been a lot of slight corrections on the graphics in rainy conditions. Regarding controllers, constant pedal vibration has been added, as has the newest SimuCube API, as well as correcting an issue with the force feedback of SimuCube wheel systems. Moving on to cars, the standard setups have been updated for all GT3 cars, LMP1 and Rallycross cars with bent wheels, can repair those, and the tire parameters of NASCAR next-gen cars have been updated. Furthermore, the damage model has been updated for a lot of the car classes within iRacing. Navarra got important updates, as did Sachsenring, and as we said at the beginning, Oswego can now be driven as dirt oval. Rennsport goes open beta on the 10th of July on Epic. Other platforms like Steam are planned, but if Rennsport signed the usual agreement with Epic, it'll take half a year to a whole year until they are contractually allowed to do so. At the same time of the open beta build, they are releasing a Founders Pack, their first paid DLC, in 3 levels: Gold, Platinum and Diamond, with 3 prices: €20, €40 and €70. The Founders Pack will bring the Nordschleife, which as we know no other sim has, and the Porsche 911 GT3 Rennsport. Apart from the car on track, the first DLC will bring liveries if you pay for the Platinum or Diamond pack. So I'd be paying €70 for some liveries? For now, this is a worse deal than Le Mans Ultimate, and that's saying something. I think this is a very good place to thank our patrons and to tell you how much we'd love you to become a patron too, so we can buy and test all this stuff and tell you if it's worth buying or not. A good thing of these packs is that whatever you buy within the Rennsport system won't be attached to the store you bought it in. So if in a however distant future you prefer to start Rennsport on Steam, any DLC content will follow you there, as they seemingly are attached to your Rennsport and not to the store you got the sim from, which is a good thing in our opinion. As we did with Le Mans Ultimate and their DLCs while in early access, we don't think it's a good idea to drop paid content while being on open beta. Sounds strange to pay for something that is not there yet, doesn't it? To be sure, we asked Rennsport what was included in the €70 pack, and the clear answer was Nordschleife, the Porsche and the liveries. Which sounds like an incredibly rotten deal if you ask me. Besides me not caring for either Nordschleife nor a Porsche, that's beside the point. These DLC prices are even worse than the rFactor 2 prices and even worse than iRacing. While Automobilista 2 was in alpha, I paid €100 and got a seasons pass that has now been converted to a paddock pass with all the content Automobilista 2 will ever publish as DLC. Granted, that was a very generous gesture from Reza, but truth to be told, we're beyond underwhelmed here at the RomRom, and I'll leave it at that. At the same time as going open beta and dropping the Founders Pack, Rennsport will go into version 1.9, which brings new content like the BMW M4 GT4 D82 2024 and the Audi R8 LMS GT4, which of course are open wheelers. kidding. And Daytona and Monza can now be also driven at night. More on the functional side, Rennsport now will have some kind of career progression. On the one side, you'll get experience points like in an RPG or an MMO, and it is planned to offer rewards that are attached to your experience, but this is not implemented yet. On the other side is that the results-based system together with the safety rating will result in a progression within Rennsport from bronze to master. No further details have been published about it as they are working on the details. Yet another ranking system. Let's see if this one fares better than the 100 that came before it, all washed away like tears in the rain. Also, there will be a friend system from now on, where you can add all your buddies onto your friend list. These will also tell you when any of them are online or even in a race. In the future, they want to expand it so a friend can act as spotter or engineer or coach or many other possibilities to drive together. If you have driven Rennsport with a controller in the past, the developers inform us they have made the use of the controller much easier and with better feeling. A big thing that's going to be in Rennsport with this 1.9 will be the first version of their VR support. Don't expect it to run smoothly from the get-go though, the developers make it very clear it's a first drop and expect your feedback with bated breath. Triple screens won't come until after VR is honed in right, also because the Unreal Engine 5 does not bring any support for that, so it's going to be a hack in any way. What is for sure not going to be in Rennsport yet is going to be a working AI. While they are on it and even have a first implementation, nobody at Rennsport sees them as worthy opponents for the time being. Of course, they plan to change this situation as soon as possible, but not yet. Not yet is also things they did not talk about, like how far their mod support is. Not yet for changing weather and not yet for open setups. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining, just stating the facts. Automobilista 2 has no mod support at all, changing weather conditions took forever to bring into iRacing, and all in all, with finite resources, there's only so much you can do, right?